Hare Hare. Welcome to this video. So, in this video, we are going to talk about certain myths that we have about karma. The number one being that if I am suffering, I am clearing my karmic impressions, or I am suffering because I'm paying for what I probably would have done before. Now, this is one of the most interesting, you can say, myth that we have because of our less awareness of these things. So let me first break this. Okay. Then I will go to the other one, which is also that if I'm doing good for others, charity and all that, then that clears your karma. Both are actually not true. So if you are a little bit surprised and already questioning me and this content, then I completely understand. But be with me. I will tell you why I'm saying this. Okay. All right. So, number one is that if I suffer, I may be clearing my karma. Now, let me tell you what is karma or karmic impression. I always call them as impressions because these are actually impressions in our sukshma sharira, which is our subtle body or energy body. Okay. Now, these impressions are basically something that has been observed by your soul. Okay. I think I've talked about this in my last video also, which was about how your karmic impressions are created and all that. And we talked about chakras and where these are stored. So you have to understand that these karmic impressions that are created, they are created by your own consciousness, your own chetna. So what happens is, imagine it like this. There is a self, okay, which is the one that is acting in this world. Imagine that as an actor, okay? And then there is a person, or not person, but that there's a being that is observing the self. Who is that? The one that is observing the self is Atma, okay, which is soul, which is your true, you can say, true existence, your true being. You are the Atma, right? You're not the self that you are playing as currently. You know how in movies, in series, you have a character, an actor is playing a character like that. Your Atma, your soul, is projecting itself and experiencing itself through a character that it is projecting outside in this reality. Okay. So that character is the self. That is also sometimes we call as aham or ahankara, the form. Right? We have given akar is form. When we have given a form to the self, to the I. So we also translate it as ego. Now, sometimes we think acha, ego only means pride. No, that is, of course, English translation to it. But when we are talking about it in this sense, it means the sense of self, sense of I, that I am. Okay. That happens when? That happens when your Atma is engaging, when the soul is engaging with the play, with the Leela, okay, which also we call as Maya, which divine has manifested. Divine is engaging and creating this, okay. So when that happens, the soul is observing the self. And through this Leela, through this engagement, whatever that is happening here, the act, the play, the soul, the Atma, is knowing itself. And through that process, it is trying to expand its awareness. Okay. Which means what? It's almost like, see, when you grow up as a child, you knew a little bit about yourself, that I am small, I am, my father's, or I am my father's child, or, we say that, okay, um, I am, let's say, Amit Kumar's son, or I am Kumari's daughter. We identify ourselves like that. Okay, so you're knowing yourself by, okay, I am the child of my parents, like that. Then you grow, then you get a new identity. Then you're like, okay, you know more about yourself. So now you're, oh, I am a student of this standard, right? Then you have grow more, then you will know more about yourself. Then you'll be like, okay, I am 98%, okay, or I am a backbencher. Or then after that you go to college, I am a graduate in engineering. So if you think, with every stage of growth that a human goes, it is expanding its knowing about itself. Okay, I am this, I am that, I am this. It's going on. Apart from that, also, you also know more about your inner self. Like when you were a child, you didn't know much more about, okay, if I'm a kind person, if I'm a giver, if I am whatever, you did not know. But as you grew and you observed yourself, right? So here also you're observing. If you think about it, you are, but here you're not observing, you're kind of judging. You're judging yourself. You're able to you're able to identify yourself or label yourself. So in that process also, you're knowing that okay, I am someone who gives more, or I'm someone who has trouble in setting boundaries, or I'm someone who um, likes to be more alone, or I'm someone who loves being with people. We say, right, I'm extrovert, introvert. So what is happening here? You are knowing more about yourself. Your awareness about self is increasing. How is that increasing? How did that happen? By the reality, right? Without engaging with this reality, how would you know? How did you come to know that you're someone who do not like to be so much with people? When did you know this? When you engaged with people, right? When you engaged with this reality, then only you came to know, oh, I don't like this, right? So like that, exactly like that, when the atma, when the soul engages with this leela, this outer reality, which is just like a dream for the soul, it's dreaming almost. When it engages with this play, it gets to know more and more about itself. Its awareness expands. And that is what we call as expansion of consciousness. Chetana बढ़ रही है, chetana increase हो रही है, the consciousness is expanding. But that will only happen, the expansion will only happen when it will know something different about itself. Right? If the soul is incarnating 100 times, and at the end of every life, it is just realizing one thing, that, oh, I'm a giver. I am a giver. I am a giver. I am a giver. It is realizing that only from every life. Then will the expansion happen? No, because you are going in the same cycle. Right? You're going on and on and on and on and on the same cycle. So, what is this? This is the karmic cycle, which means that the consciousness is not able to expand. You are going on and on and on and on in the same level of awareness. You are knowing the same things about yourself again and again, again and again. There is no breakthrough. There's nothing that, okay, you have suddenly a new moment and you, from this cycle, you have upgraded and gone to a different sense of consciousness, a different level of awareness. No, that has not happened. So, when that kind of happens, then you are in a karmic cycle. Okay, you're going on and on and on, living 100 lives, but realizing the same things. So, when does this happen? When the consciousness is not able to expand. So, what does this mean? This means that the karmic cycle is a result of the consciousness not able to expand in the way it is wanting to, or the way it should be, rather. Right? Did you understand this? Think about it. If you did not go back to the last few minutes, listen to it again. You will. It is important to understand the next part. Okay. So now after this, what happens when you have, struggled? Okay, I am this, I am this, and you're going on and on with the same awareness. Some people in your life also, they're same like how they were in the school. No upgradation. You like to spend time with them? No. Because when you go with them for few minutes is nice because you feel nostalgic. You're like, oh, I'm with my school friend and all. After some time, Arey, this person has not grown only. Which means what? They're stuck. We call them they're stuck, right? Exactly like that. You are stuck in the same karmic cycle. Why? Because the impression that your Atma is able to create is the same that it has been going on and on and on. There is no sense of expansion. Awareness is not happening. Expansion is not happening. Same level of knowledge you're gaining again and again about yourself in different lifetimes. That is what we understand as getting stuck in the same karmic pattern from many lifetimes. I get these kind of people coming to me in my classes, in my sessions, that Shivangi, I feel like I'm stuck in the same karmic loop from so many times. I feel like I have been through this again and again. Exactly. This is what it is. Okay. Which means your soul is not able to expand its awareness. So now you tell me that will suffering help? No. Because what happens now? Now let's talk about where suffering is placed here. So you're going through a cycle. Okay, you think that okay, now if I suffer, and I'll tell you, the karmic cycle is almost like the wave. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, and it continues. You're never able to leave that and jump into a higher state of consciousness. So when does this happen? So now suffering, where does this has the role? So when we think, acha, I might have done something bad in my past, that is why I'm suffering now. This is not true. Why? Because suffering is not going to help you exhibit the karmic cycle anymore. If you think that if I have suffered, now my karma is clear, that is not true. It is not clear. You have just gone through one arc of the cycle. You have just gone through one curve of the cycle. It will again come back. Okay, like that infinity loop. It will again come back. Maybe not now, maybe in some other lifetime. Like, for example, I'll give an example for this. So, for example, let's say, um, hmm, let's say if you were someone who used to take a lot from people, okay, and you always felt like it's my authority, or maybe dominated people a lot, maybe control people a lot. Okay, let's imagine just that. Okay, now in that situation, what your soul observed about yourself is that I am superior. Imagine, I'm just giving an example, okay, that I am superior. So this karmic impression has been created now. Okay, now this karmic impression has been created where? In your energy body, in your sukshma sharira, and the sukshma sharira carries that in the next lifetime. So now, because it has carried, it knows that I have to clear this, otherwise I will not be able to go up, not be able to expand, okay, expand my consciousness. So to clear this, because our atma has less consciousness, what or the awareness is less, because of that, what will it do is it will try to compensate that, it will try to, you can say, nullify that. Okay, by what? Okay, I have impression of I am superior, so let me dilute it by feeling inferior, so that I not end up feeling superior again. Why? Because I don't want to create this impression that I'm already carrying. It's already heavy. Okay, it's already creating a lot of heaviness in my karmic baggage, so I don't want to add to that more. That is why the self will do what? The self will try to nullify it. By what? By doing what? By feeling inferior. Okay, why? Because I don't want to again feel superior and carry karma, so I am going to feel inferior. So it is just trying to nullify. So when you think that you're suffering or you're going through something difficult, you're just trying to nullify what your self has carried, what your um, I has carried, not the Atma. The I has carried, the energy body has carried. Okay, but the problem is that when you try to nullify that, okay, I am superior, this is the impression, let me cancel that out by creating I am inferior. You have cancelled out I am superior, but you have created something else now, which is what? Which is I am inferior, right? So now you have created another karmic impression to dilute the other one that you were carrying. Now what will happen? Next life, okay, I'm carrying I am inferior. Either you will carry that only for few lives to realize that, oh, I have to nullify this. And then one life you'll again be like, okay, now I am again superior. Getting what I'm trying to say? So to cancel one, what you're doing is you are creating another, thinking that, okay, at least this time I'm not superior, so I will be clear. And who is doing all this thinking? Of course you're not doing this consciously, of course you're not consciously thinking all of this. No, this is the inner talk, this is the talk of our self, the self that I talked about, the I. Okay, the I is busy in this, that what should I do? So it's doing all of this. Okay, because it know that, okay, something has to be fixed, what should I do? So then it's doing all of this. Okay, so what does this mean? Again, I'm explaining this very loosely, in a very layman's way. Okay, so if you end up telling me that, oh, but Shivangi, but this, this shouldn't be explained, like, I know, but I'm trying to give the most simplest explanation, so that everyone who has no understanding of it also can understand. Okay, so now here you have understood that this is nullifying, is actually creating, and that is what we call the loop, the infinity loop. You know, must have seen the snake biting its own tail. You must have seen that somewhere, that imagery. What does this mean? It means that you are in the in this intention of ending, you are actually creating, and the cycle continues: ending, creating, nurturing, ending, creating, nurturing. The three things are there, na? Creation, perseverance, and destruction. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So you are doing that, you're creating, and these are the three, no, points through which the entire Srishti, the entire cosmos is going on. So your inner cosmos is going on also by this. Okay, you are ending, you're creating, you're ending, you're creating. In the intention of ending, what you're actually doing is also creating. So that is why suffering is not something that can completely dissolute karma. It may nullify something by creating something else, but it is not dissolution. So, what does really dissolute karma, if you have not guessed already, is expansion of consciousness. Because as consciousness expands, the karmic impressions will start to dissolve. Because these karmic impressions get created at the first place with the sense of I, that I am this, I am that. I told you with the example of the our human evolution, how we grow and know about ourselves. If you have to know more about yourself, you have to expand your awareness. Right? That is how. Otherwise, you will stay the same person the entire life. Why? Because you have not expanded your consciousness, expanded your awareness. So, like that, if you want to dissolute your karmic impressions, what you really need to work on is expanding your consciousness. What does this mean? Expanding your awareness. It means self, the journey of self, knowing self. You must have heard many gurus like Anand Mahima, Ramana Maharshi, so many gurus have talked about this. Neem Karoli Baba, so many gurus have talked about this in one way or the other. The journey of self, knowing self, is the one that leads to liberation. Okay, the more and more you know, and interesting thing about knowing self is, which is little bit opposite from how the human knowing happens. When knowing of self happens, you do not add identities, you start discarding identities. And this knowing of self starts from having too many layers of I am this, 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 too many heads, like Ravan had so many heads. Like that, you have too many eyes attached to you, too many heads. I am this also, I am that also, too many faces. But the dissolution, the ending is what? All heads will be gone, which means all eyes. I am this gone, I am this gone, and you end to, or you come to a place where you reach that I am nothing. There's no attachment to I left. And in that stage, if I'm nothing, then what is all of this? In that stage, one experiences supreme, because you realize that there is no I, there is no sense of I, there's only God. And the sense of I, it has only been, you can say, a part of our drama, the part of play. Only for that we have created a character which is I, but actually there is no I. Like, for example, when you watch a movie, at that time you feel like, yeah, this character is there, this character is really living, right? You get so attached to that character, you feel like, no, it is actual story, you feel like that. But when the movie is done, it's blackout, end screen, happy ending, whatever. After that, what happens? There is no character. Then you come out, okay, done. So, like that. Okay. So that is why suffering is not going to help you clear your karma. It may nullify by creating another karmic impression. And also, many people think that, okay, karma only means bad karma. No, there's good karma also, which means, but then if there is good karma, then again you have created an impression. Good, but created an impression. So you're not gonna ever get liberated out of the cycle, because you're always creating good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. You're going almost like that shuttle in badminton you have now, like that. You're going from one to another, one to another. I'm good, I am bad, I'm superior, I am inferior, I'm people pleaser, I don't like anyone. You're going from one end to another in this karmic cycle. That is why neither suffering will help you, that okay, I'll suffer and I'll create my karma, nor doing good will help you. You should do good. I'm not saying that you should not do good, do good. But thinking that doing good is going to help me clear my karma, that's not the path. The path is then what? The path is expansion of consciousness. How does that happen? I told you, journey of self, knowing self. Okay. But this knowing self sometimes could be too much of mind work. Many people can take it as, oh, okay, I have to know myself. That is, and you know what we will do? We'll intellectualize it. No, knowing of self actually means the opposite. It's not intellectualizing. It means discarding all that you know about yourself, and then asking, then who am I? If I'm not the body, then who am I? If I'm not my name, then who am I? If I'm not the gender, then who am I? If I'm not the breath, then who am I? It's like you're asking again and again and again and again. And of course you will not get the answer like this. Why? Because your consciousness needs some fuel so that you can understand this question that you're asking to yourself. What is that fuel? That fuel is bhakti. That fuel is oneness. Now, bhakti, we think, is devotion, but what I have understood from reading and also from channeling messages from my guides is that bhakti is actually oneness. Okay, because there was this etymology that I was reading which said that bhakti comes from the word bhaj, and somewhere bhaj also means that, so in Hindi I'll say first कि मुझे भज लो, मुझे धारण कर लो. Okay, that which means what? Which means that you take over me. I should not be there. There should be no existence of I. You take over me. That is what bhakti means. Okay, so taking over means what? That there is no I left. I am one with you. If I'm one with you, then who am I? If I'm one with you, like for example, if I have put, let's say, um, wood into the fire and now it has burned into fire, is there any wood? No, the wood has converted itself into fire, right? It has become one with fire, so there is no wood. Like that, in bhakti, when you have become one with Supreme, then there is no you, there's only God, there's only Supreme. Okay, so that is oneness, and the path of oneness helps you to expand your consciousness, expand your chetana. Okay, why? Because the I that we are so attached with, and there's so many eyes that we give ourselves, I am this, I am this, I am that, that what the soul observes about the self is the one that is creating karmic impressions. And if the soul is in limited consciousness, it will create a lot of karmic impressions, because the soul is in this awareness that there is a separation between me and Supreme. There is I. But when the soul is in this remembrance that I am always in oneness with God, then all observations will happen from the sense of God and not from the perspective of I. Okay, you might have not understood this, maybe few of you. What does this mean? This means that there comes a stage for the great yogis, for the great sadhaks, and the ones who have completely devoted themselves to Supreme, when the Atma is not able to see self, the soul is not able to observe self. Because for the Atma, the consciousness has expanded so much that it has realized that there is no self, there's only Supreme. And it laughs and it enjoys and it gets delighted in that moment, thinking that how naive I was, thinking that there is self, there is no self. And because there is no self, how will you create any observation about the self? So the observation that are created by the soul for the self that it is playing as the character, if there is no character, when you wake up to realize, oh, there's no character, it's just the actor, it's the same actor playing all the characters, at that time all karmic impressions are gone. Why? Because these karmic impressions are attached to the self. When the self dissolves, karma dissolves. Okay, hear this again. When the self dissolves, the karma dissolves. When the ego, when the I dissolves, karma dissolves. Because there cannot be any karma without the I. Why? Because as I said you, karmic impressions are the observations that the soul is seeing or creating or rather projecting about the self. But if there is no self, when the Atma is so expanded in consciousness that it realizes that there is no self, the self was just the projection of the Supreme itself, there's only God. So in that moment, all karmic impressions are gone. That is why in Bhagavad Gita also it has been written that whatever that you do, devote it to God, which means what? Which means you do not keep this remembrance that there is you. If you devote it to God, what are you doing? You're saying that there is no me. It's all God. God is doing, God is receiving, God is experiencing, God is doing everything. Like, for example, if I am eating food, so who is eating food? God is eating food through this medium. Okay. Then, um, if I find the food tasty, who is finding it tasty? Supreme is finding it tasty. That kind of consciousness comes to you, that kind of awareness comes to you when you're in bhakti, when there is no sense of I left in you. Okay, and why this happens, why we say in Bhagavad Gita also it has been said that devote all you do to God. It has been said sacrifice is basically devotion. Okay, like, do not keep it for you, detach that, sacrifice that to Supreme. So whatever you do is being done by God, whatever that I'm receiving is being received by God, is for God. So then there is no sense of I. That is why this has been mentioned. So through this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to dissolute the self. That there is no self, there's only Bhagwan. There's only Supreme. However you want to call it. You want to call Bhagwan, Divine, Supreme, God, whatever. Name doesn't really matter here. But whatever that you say, you should always keep this in remembrance that there is no I, there's only God. But then, of course, it becomes difficult. Nah, if I'm recording this video right now, of course, I'll think, oh, I recorded a good video. What happened? Created an impression. I am good. Again, karmic impression. Again, the same cycle. So then, if consciously we can't do this, of course, because consciously we can say, acha, acha, I'm not doing this, God is doing. It's not about conscious, it's about the inner shift. Okay, the shift of something which is much more deeper than the conscious brain, mind, logic, and all that. So then inner shift will happen how? By bringing this oneness with Supreme, which is why bhakti. That is why bhakti is important. The path of bhakti is important. Because when you feel oneness with Supreme, you start to dissolve the self in Supreme. That I am not there only, there's only God. You get so blissful in that state that you don't feel like there's something like me, my, I, all of this are gone. You're so much in bliss that you feel like there's only God, only God, only God. That helps you to expand the consciousness. Okay, and that is why it's bhakti, the path. Okay, so how now you can follow? You can meditate. You can meditate. Of course, there is that one. I have conducted many meditation sessions for not only energy work, for healing. I do all of that also, but for also this. So that is one way. You can see the description below. I have added my Instagram. My Instagram is the handle that I mostly use. So there you will see all my upcoming workshops, etc., etc. So that's one way. Or you can find another meditation. There are Kriya Yoga. There's also that. So many different paths are already there. Whatever that you are drawn to, you should go. There's no one way. Okay. So then meditation is there. Then there is Nam Jap is there. Ram, 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 Radhe, 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 Krishna, 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 whatever. Then there's mantra chant. So there are different ways. They're not one. I can't even say one. There's so many ways to evoke that oneness, to evoke that bhakti. Because it is through that that you can expand your consciousness. If you just say, no, no, okay, you just want me to think that there is no I and there's only God, God is doing everything, okay, I'll do it. Nahi hoga, that will not happen. Because what you will do, na, you will think. And this is not thinking, this is being. If you sometimes people come to me and say, acha Shivangi, if everyone says like this, that God is doing this and God is doing this through me, then people will do bad things and say God is doing. You have to understand, Baba, that it is not about thinking, it is being. You end up being a state, or being in a state of consciousness where you start to dissolve self, that main to hu hi nahi, I'm not there only, there's only Bhagwan. And that cannot come from thinking that God is doing it. It's not about mind. It's about being, and being comes from much more beyond these brain and these mind and these kind of things. Okay, so do not confuse. Many people end up confusing this. That's why I'm clarifying. It's not about acha from tomorrow I'll start. Yes, thinking may help you slowly to get to a state of being. Okay, so that's why it's good to keep that okay, I'm not doing this, Bhagwan is doing this, Bhagwan is, yes, or I'm not receiving this, Bhagwan is receiving this. That is something that you can practice. But just by thinking, will you be able to detach yourself from karma and have no karma at all and do all the good and bad things? No, of course not. It is a state of being that needs quite a sadhana, quite a tapas, you can say. And it's something that sometimes people spend lifetimes. I'm not saying that it has to be done that way, not that you can't do in one lifetime, but it's about how much are you able to expand your consciousness and how much you're able to feel oneness with Supreme. Okay. So these are few myths. Okay. Number one, suffering. No, suffering will not clear your karmic impression. They will probably nullify the one that you're carrying before, and by creating another, as I said. Then will doing good? No, because when you do good, you've again. Why? See, when you do good, na, if you're doing good and thinking that Bhagwan is doing this, and you have no sense of I in that moment, then yes, then of course there will be no karmic impression created from that. But in that moment, you're doing good for something, you're thinking, I am such a good person, I am so kind, I have been able to help, I am so blessed to be able to help this person. Gone. That is why it is not that easy. And you will try कि नहीं नहीं, I don't give take pride in being a good person. But it comes. It's, our mind is so subtle that you can't even understand sometimes what is going on inside. You may consciously think, nee, nee, I don't think that I'm a good person, I just do, what is it called, selfless charity I do. But it comes somewhere after doing charity, somewhere you feel like, I have done charity today, I feel good about. Comes. Okay. So that is why, rather than trying to fix these things, work on bhakti, work on any path, okay, which can help you in experiencing oneness with Supreme. The more you feel near to Supreme, the more you will detach from the self, the more you will dissolve yourself in Bhagwan, the more the self will dissolve. And the dissolving of self is the only way to dissolve karma. There are no other way. Okay. What aids in that are different processes, like reading Bhagavad Gita or meditation or some other things, other the practices are there. Okay, Kriya Yoga is there, different kind of practices are there. But that aids. Okay, for what? Dissolution of self into Supreme. Okay, so this is what is karma. Now, tell me if you have any questions about karma. That some people have this question also, that if someone is very bad person, but nothing bad is happening to them. Okay, they're getting what they're wanting and all that. See, you can't judge someone's karmic impression on the basis of what they are doing in this lila, because we do not see what is behind that. What I'm trying to say here is, I don't mean that, acha, for example, let's say if someone is very bad person according to our perception, first of all, that's also there. Okay, according to our perception, they're very bad person. According to the societal norms, let's say, okay, they are bribing, they are rude people or whatever, according to societal norms, they're not good people. But they are receiving all the good things, whatever they do, it gets successful, there's no problem in their life, everybody in their family is happy, good, everything is going good. So we think, why is this? Okay, now you don't know what Leela Bhagwan is playing with them. Like, for example, in the story of Mahabharat, Duryodhan, he ended up doing so many things. Right, he, right from the Draupadi Chirharan to, all kind of false practices with his own brother and everything, he did everything. He still enjoyed, I think, 13 years or some, good long period of sitting as a king of Hastinapur, of that place. Right, now in that period, if you'll see Duryodhan, you'll be like, Are, it's such a bad person getting all the good things. You don't know what Leela Bhagwan is doing. Or let's take example of Kans. Okay, if you know the story of Kans, if you don't know, you can Google. So Kans, he also enjoyed a good long period of being the king. Okay, everybody's listening to him, and I'm sure it would have been taken a lot of years for Krishna to grow up, first of all to be born and then grow and then come in. So for those long years, he would also have thought everything is sorted for me. Ravan also, right? So you don't know what Leela Bhagwan is doing with them, so that they are coming to a state where after that they have to dissolute. After that they have to start learning, or they have to go through what they have done. So you are not understanding what Leela is being done. For example, it is also said that um, the reason why Kans got to know that prophecy that was done, Akashvani, we say, the prophecy was made, right? That uh, Devaki's eighth son or eighth child is going to kill you, right? Kans heard this from Akashvani. It came prophecy, like a prophecy, like the voice of God, or like the voice of the sky. It came to him. So now this was also told by, there was no need, na? Was there need? No. Krishna would have easily killed and everything would have. Why this Leela was done? So that he ends up doing more mistakes. So that he ends up killing. He ends up getting in fear, whatever. So it's like Bhagwan played with him so that he creates more karmic impression, which kind of comes to a place where his karmic impression or his karmic account is full. Okay, and from that he has to now dissolute. It is a story like that. Many people say that that is why it was told. So that is why you don't know why someone is enjoying what they're enjoying. From the outside, we think, acha, if someone is enjoying, that means they are being blessed. Not necessarily. Sometimes you might be enjoying, or someone might be enjoying, because they are filling their karmic impression, their karmic account, and Bhagwan is deluding them to enjoy more and more and do all kind of things, so that finally they can begin the journey of clearing them, begin the journey of karmic impressions, dissoluting of karmic impression. Like, for example, the story of Valmiki was actually a dacoit. uh, Ratnakar was his name. Now imagine someone like Ratnakar, someone like a dacoit, actually ended up writing Ramayana, right? So now why did God do this? For a very long period of time, he was quite a successful dacoit. He was very good, doing all the bad things, but still earning money out of it and whatever. So you don't know why someone is able to do what they're doing and enjoying those materialistic pleasures. Maybe there is some lila that is being that you can't understand, but you are judging according to the limited understanding that we have of this reality. So I would suggest in those cases that do not see outside. There is no purpose. See self. Seeing outside is just like deluding yourself more. See outside to know yourself. See the world to know yourself. If you're seeing the world to know the world, then the Maya will delude you. Watch the world. It's beautiful Maya, beautiful Leela. To know self. That's the purpose. Okay. So on that, I'm going to end this video. It's already, I think, 30, 40 minutes. Every time I decide I'll make a short video, I end up making a long video. But anyways, so I hope you enjoy this. And if you have any questions around karma, then please do put them. And if I find relevant, then I will try to create more content on this. Okay. Thank you so much, and Hare Hare.